We're aware of the injuries, we're aware of the illnesses, and we're the ones who actually address, often with the assistance of our employees involved, to actually take action. So the idea that we're going to put it on a website and make it available for the broader community, we just don't see how that really promotes a beneficial outcome. Second, and this is really, I haven't heard this in the 2 days that we've been here. I think that posting this information about injury and illness rates without context is actually going to discourage recruitment of employees to manufacturing. So I'm going to address that as well, because I think this administration talks about being committed to creating jobs and improving employment outcomes in manufacturing, and here's one giant step backwards, where without context everybody can say, oh, that's a terrible number, they have terrible injuries, and that may not in fact be the case. And finally, something else we haven't heard here, we believe that this rule will probably encourage employees, not just employers, to mask their incidents, and I'll explain that as well. Our industry is an advanced manufacturing industry. Our NAICS code is 332721, precision machining. Our member companies produce a lot of safety critical components, fuel injection parts, anti-lock brake parts, airbag deployment systems, orthopedic implants for bone screws if none of the above work. A variety of our components are also used for fluid power and aerospace control applications. Just as safety is a critical part of our production, our industry is very much invested in the safety of our processes and in our people. The 2012 incidence rate for our parent sector, fabricated metals, was 5.7. Our precision machining industry was 4.9. And, just so we have some benchmark, government employees, I think the incidence rate is like 4.0. So we think we're closer to 4, but I mean, how can we use 4.9 compared to 4.0? Well, I'd rather be in government. I'm dodging 0.9 of an incident. So it's just, I'm not sure that the data is in a proper context for the public transparency that's intended. On cases with days away from work, job transfer, or rest, our industry was 2.3, which is almost 20% better than the benchmark for fab metal at 2.9. Yet we have the same processes, hazards, and exposures. Our efforts have been toward training and best practices to improve our safety performance in our shops. As a sign of our industry's interest in safety, we invited Dr. Michaels to speak at our Management Update Conference last February. Our companies are small businesses. The 2010 Census of Manufacturers lists 3,178 precision machining companies in the U.S. The average sales on that census is about 8 million. We employ approximately 80,000 people. I've rounded that up. Their number was 78,178, but we're really desperate for skilled people, as you'll see. And frankly, if somebody has skills and applies to one of our shops, the CEOs I talk with say, we'll create a position if they can add value right away. So trying to fill jobs in manufacturing is tough right now, and now throwing one more danger Will Robinson at it is just not, we think, in the best interest of everybody involved. A significant portion of our resources as an association, as PMPA, is deployed on safety-related efforts. I write articles for our magazine. We have probably a whole category on our blog devoted to safety and regulatory issues, and we also provide presentations at district meetings, training at member companies, and the last, the GHS rule, we provided a video training webinar available for all our companies to use. We're here today to really ask, how does this rule actually improve safety and health outcomes? It does not provide improvement in outcomes, we think. It diverts limited resources in our small job creating manufacturing companies away from actually doing safety, improving tasks, and encourages enforcement avoidance behavior. This is at a time when the agency is trying to downplay programs which they interpret as incentivizing employees not to report incidents. This rule adds, I think, a significant incentive to underreport. We're further concerned that this rule will only serve to hurt the image of manufacturing in America at a time when the administration is working to promote the industry. Businesses like our companies will become unnecessarily vulnerable to the court of public opinion and public criticism by releasing regulatory data which may not honestly represent the actual safety performance of our company's systems and employees. In our mind, this effort will actually detract from employee safety by diverting management efforts, energy, and resources from training and continuous improvement towards increased record keeping and enforcement avoidance. Our small shops continue to see the drive to increase record keeping from federal agencies, but we fail to see positive results as a consequence. It will also encourage employees to minimize reporting of, I think they used the term colorable arguments yesterday, to avoid making the list. And so it's easy to just put the employer in this position of somehow we're in the ones who are best served by underreporting. That employee is going to own that incident on that report. He's going to own it on the internet. And when he goes out with his bowling buddies and somebody says, "Hey, is that you on that deal?" And, "Oh, no, that's not." Well, maybe it is you. And so while there's explicit scrubbing, there's implicit scrubbing. And while it may be a large firm in a small community, it may be the only large firm in a small community. So I'm not sure that you can just make it anonymous with a small incidence rate in a small community and in a single type of manufacturing. What is the real benefit of increased reporting? What is the benefit of publicizing injury and illness data when that data may not be a reflection of the company's culture and performance? The fact is that injury and illness may be a result of an employee decision or an employee circumstance outside of work. One of the things that I'm concerned with, the speaker yesterday said, was these things don't happen in a vacuum. I can foresee a spike in the seriousness of reports when employees who no longer have coverage and are now facing high deductibles manage to mask something until the first or second hour of the shift, and then all of a sudden I need medical attention. I can see that as a possible change as well. So some workers can ignore training. We've put in a lot of paperwork based on OSHA requirements for record keeping, and now the employee knows, you know, they were in the training session, they signed the attendance sheet, they did not follow the instruction, it's on them. So I think there's going to be an incentive on this to actually reduce reporting from the employee's point of view. Finally, we're in the 55th month of recovery. U6 unemployment rate remains over 13%. Our shops are clamoring for qualified people to work in our advanced manufacturing jobs. Recruiting for manufacturing has been problematic, with everybody sending their kids to college, getting degrees in debt, and no skills. We've got over 83% of manufacturers have openings for skilled positions right now. That number's from NAM. The Atlantic called 600,000 openings in advanced manufacturing. So we really don't need the negative focus. Robert Burt had a question yesterday about costs, and if you would entertain that question, I'll be happy to go over why I think your cost estimates for implementation are exceptionally low.
I'll leave that to Chuck.